Have you ever been insulted by friends or other people for being the same type as, for example, a politician who's problematic because you have the same ethnicity, religion, race, or identity? If yes, then you're probably a victim of identity politics. Previously, in Indonesia, there have been many cases related to ethnicity, religion, race, and intergroups that we often see, hear, or even feel, such as in the 1998 riots, based on the disapproval of the regime which was instigated by racial discrimination, namely hatred towards the Chinese ethnicity. Even in fact, Chinese people who live in Indonesia today are sometimes still insulted. This, unfortunately, still continues in Indonesia and has violated human rights in various aspects for years. So, what is political identity and why does it violate human rights? The meaning of human rights itself is that each of us, no matter how powerful we are, where we were born, or what our beliefs are, entitled to have the same basic rights and freedoms. Keep in mind that human rights are not obtained only for certain people and privileges, but all people even while they are still in their mother's womb. In 1948, the General Assembly of the United Nations made the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which contains a 30-point article as a general standard of achievement for all people and all countries. But, unfortunately, in Indonesia, there are still many cases of violations of human rights. Let's take an example in the issue of the Eradication of Sexual Violence Bill, or RUU PKS, which at that time became a very controversial issue for the community. Sabari Barus, one of the expert team of the People's Representative Council, or DPR, informed that there would be an updated version of the RUU PKS. While the last draft of the bill made by National Human Rights Commission for Women, or Komnas Perempuan, in 2020, the latest version was compiled by a team of DPR experts who had no experience or understanding of issues related to women. And this provided quite controversial changes. For example, in the old version of the bill, there are 128 articles on this issue. And the latest version deletes 85 articles and only produces 43 articles. And the most surprising thing is that in the latest version, they only recognize 4 types of sexual violence out of 9 known in the old version. With this has violated women's rights and is one of the most severe violations of human rights. And this is still only one violation of human rights out of 30 articles according to the UN. Very sad, isn't it? Remember the 1998 tragedy that almost all Chinese people in Indonesia at the time were always looked down upon and treated uncorrectly by the natives. You know, that includes identity politics. Identity politics is the tendency of people of a particular race, religion, gender, or ethnicity to organize politically around those special interests with the sole purpose of advancing those interests without regard for or concern for the larger group or collective. In this case, the Indonesian people protect their people and their human rights as Indonesians from the Chinese. This hatred that is ingrained and has been passed down from generation to generation since the Suharto era will always be a politics of separating Chinese and Indonesian identities. The Chinese in Indonesia are forever immigrants and they will always become scapegoats for many violence and social problems in Indonesia. Looking at the implementation of human rights and identity politics in Indonesia, we can say that human rights violations are still high and identity politics is also still a daily activity for Indonesian people. Considering that Indonesia is a very plural country and has a large population, this will not change if there's no awareness and acceptance from each individual about the literacy of current issues and also that we live in the midst of millions of different things. Diversity is one aspect of our survival. And without us starting to care about other people, whoever it is, Indonesia will continue to be like this.